I will call to order the Ottawa City Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Clayton,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley,
Present.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore,
Present.
and Commissioner Van Layden.
Present.
We are all present and accounted for. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Dakota Smith with Ottawa Bible Church.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, everyone. I'm grateful to be here today. 3 events that took place in my life 2 years ago. My dad suddenly passed away unexpectedly. Our church grew to about 500 people plus, which means more people, more counseling, more difficulties, more tragedies. And I was also under a lawsuit for something that I didn't do with my dad's estate, all at the same time. These verses come to mind in the midst of that season of life. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I don't know about you, but I would encourage you to find the supernatural love and peace of Jesus amidst whatever circumstance you're going through in life. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much that your Son said we could come to him. And for those of us who are weary and heavy burdened, heavy laden, not that he might give us rest, but he said, "I will give you rest." So we thank you for that promise. Lord, in the midst of things on the agenda today, we know that here in our community, there are many of us that are weary, heavy, burdened. We just pray that we would find where supernatural rest lies. We pray for wisdom over the agenda today. We pray for your peace over the agenda today. We trust in your sovereignty. I pray that in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pastor. That'll take us to item 6, consent agenda, which consists of minutes from our July 15th regular meeting, June 2026 financial monthly report, partner agency reports for June for Ottawa Main Street and Ottawa Library, approval of Highland Cemetery building repair, and an agenda approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? One question I did have. I saw on there our estimate was $23,375, but the financial responsibility is only 14 on the repairs on Highland Cemetery.
Mr. Mayor, I think we'll get into that and we can talk about that as part of the consent agenda if you want. I know the bid came in at just over 14,000, so.
Okay, the bid was 14,000. The estimated total damage, was that from insurance, was the 23? Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So
Sorry,
we
I thought-
solicited 3 bids. This was
Okay.
the best bid of 14,000 and change. So.
Okay. Perfect. That was all I had. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. That'll take us to item 7, proclamation recognizing July 26, 2026 as Access Awareness Day. The proclamation will be accepted by the Accessibility Advisory Board and will be read by Commissioner Allen.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, was passed on July 26, 1990 to ensure the civil rights of citizens with disabilities. And whereas the City of Ottawa of the State of Kansas affirms the principles of equality, accessibility, and inclusion and they are essential for ensuring that all community members have access to opportunities and the ability to fully participate in the community life as set forth the state of Kansas and embodied in the ADA, the laws of the state of Kansas and ordinances of Ottawa, Kansas. And whereas numerous organizations in the city of Ottawa and the state of Kansas work with constituents and communities to bring forth the promise of hope and freedom that is envisioned by the passage of the ADA. And whereas accessibility should be part of all aspects of community life, physical and social and economic, including employment, transportation, recreation, housing, and whereas We all have a role to play in ensuring that our communities are as accessible and inclusive as possible. And whereas approximately 12.5% of the population has a disability, which often impacts their ability to effectively access services and shopping. And whereas July 26, 2026 celebrates the 36th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act with Access Awareness Day in Ottawa. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby recognize the rights of all individuals with disabilities and the importance of ensuring that they have access to the opportunities that are important to them and that give their lives meaning, and to all observing July 26th, 2026 as Access Awareness Day in the City of Ottawa, Kansas. Signed this 22nd day of July, 2026 by our Mayor, Zach Clayton. And don't tell my eye doctor I need readers. Like, thank you.
Do we have someone here from the accessible? Oh, perfect. Okay. Who else? Feel free if you guys want Well, thank you both for being here for the Accessibility Advisory Board. I always think back when I hear about the ADA to in school watching the video when they were trying to pass the ADA legislation, the folks in wheelchairs climbing up the Capitol steps. I don't know how old I was, if it was middle school, whatever that was, but something that has stuck with me to today to think about accessibility, handicap access, and that stuff. So thank you for all you guys do for the community and taking your time to serve on a board. That'll take us to item 8, public comments.
We have 4 registered. We'll start with Susan Hughes.
Hello, I'm Susan Hughes, 1201 South Ash. We've shared a few of our many concerns about a data center in Proximity Park or anywhere in Franklin County. For one thing, please do not give them an extension next month. Please do not give them any more tax incentives. They're a billionaire company. They do not need our tax money. Please have a public hearing where we can ask questions and get some answers, because we're just got a lot of questions and we keep asking and then we don't get any answers. Tonight, I want to talk about money. The city projects that they're going to get a lot of revenue when this tax abatement period is over after 10 years. Many data centers have a history of lasting 5 to 10 years. If that's the case in this one, then there won't be any big windfall at the end of that. And who's going to pay for the decommissioning of all these equipment and hazardous chemicals in this? And the property value surrounding that facility is going to drop way down. Those people's properties are not going to be worth anything. That may not really affect the city's revenues because they're probably not in city limits, but it probably will affect the school and the county money. And so when they have to have more money to make up for what they're not getting from them, they're going to raise our taxes. So what about transmission lines? Are there going to be any going in? And so who's paying for that? Who's going to pay for all the water and the natural gas that they say they're going to be used to be delivered? Who's going to pay for the added testing that we need done on the water that they are dumping from that facility? Because it can contain a lot of dangerous things that we need to know about. They also said that they're going to put in a treatment plant out at their water treatment plant and be staffed. So who's going to pay for that? So even if the city does rake in a lot of tax money and our utility rates don't go up like they do everywhere else, still the bottom line is you can't drink money.
Thank you, Susan.
Holly Shamer.
Thank you, and hello again, and welcome back, Mayor Clayton.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say some things that are similar to Susan's, but actually I just met her. I walked in here and remembered her face from before. But there are many of the same things, because I think of so many of the community members who come here kind of they read, and these things are common problems with data centers. And we're all, you guys and all of us are concerned about the community and the welfare of the people in the community. So, but I do appreciate you guys. You're here, you hopefully read this stuff. It's a lot. So, especially with this project. So I'm just going to start reading. I want you to allow the current contract for Proximity Park to expire on August 1st. Then establish a set of regulations for data centers and any associated utilities that might be built in the City of Ottawa. The City of Ottawa's current codes for Proximity Park are incomplete, outdated, and too general. Regulations, meaning, if you just say noise, that doesn't really get you anywhere. You need to be very specific, test the noise levels before and then after when the data center's there. Regulations are rules about what is expected so that no sale is burdened by non-transparent negotiations. Please read the article put out by Kansas Commerce, which is part of the Kansas Chamber of Commerce, called Data Center Myth-Busting Reference Guide. The article makes clear that it is the responsibility of local communities to create clear, measurable, detailed regulations for data centers. Data centers must detail all the chemicals they add to the water used on site. There's so many chemicals out there. How are you going to know what to test for? And the clean water standards, I think, are not sufficient. They grandfathered in a whole lot of chemicals. They still don't test for PFASs, anyway, PFSA, something like that. But, and it makes the water slick. So I think oil well producers use it in their produced water, and I would think that if they're using a cooled water system, they would be putting it in the pipes just for data centers. Okay. Necessary regulations must include decommissioning. I put a handout there for you. Regulations should ban non-disclosure agreements from being signed by any city commissioner or City of Ottawa employee. Well, luckily, I gave it to you. So thank you all for always being cool.
Thank you, Susan.
Scott Jurgen?
Hello, my name is Scott Jurgen. I live at 3332 Rock Creek Road, Ottawa. I would like to read the last paragraph of an article published by the U.S. Department of Interior and the U.S. Geological Survey in April of 2008. The title of the article is Hydrologic Droughts in Kansas, Are They Becoming Worse? I'll read the concluding paragraph of the article. The concluding paragraph is titled, What Does the Future Hold? And the article's about Kansas. I'm old, I have to put my glasses on. The concluding paragraph, if a sustained period of below normal precipitation occurs comparable to the 1950s, future hydrological droughts in Kansas probably will be much more severe than any previous droughts on record, and stream flows will be adversely affected. If climate change occurs and results are even more severe, precipitation deficits during drought stream flow probably will be even more severe. Therefore, state programs initiated to manage water supplies for users during droughts that are based on the 1950s drought may need to be modified, or new programs may need to be developed to better reflect the low stream flows that may occur in future droughts with similar or even less amounts of precipitation that occurred in the 1950s drought. Okay, lots of words. I think in summary, many of us who worry about the stated plans for Proximity Park are worried about commodifying a natural resource, water, in a period of very uncertain environmental conditions. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and work. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Greg Hernandez.
Pardon the glasses, I'm kind of getting old, so I need them more and more. Dear Commissioners, today I'm speaking about and questioning the position of this City Council regarding the construction of the data center at Proximity Park in south of Ottawa. There are signs all over town saying, no secret deals, no data center. This topic has turned into a very emotional and concerning subject. Since all the science of data centers is not in yet, I will focus on the potential secret deals. What I say today is not my claim. It is the fears and concerns of local citizens in local coffee shops and gathering areas. A lot of money in the short term will be made by this center. To uncover the secret deals, you need to follow the money. I personally believe in supporting local small businesses. It is my hope that all Ottawa will profit from this installation. That being said, the Ottawa City Council is mostly a volunteer group that we appreciate here in town. Most of the city council members and their families are owners of small business, construction groups, real estate groups, attorneys, and suppliers. We do not question whether or not these types of groups should benefit from the construction of the data center. We question whether this decision that affects all citizens should be made by a commission that will get rich at the expense of its citizens. The following is an account of events that can be checked by Google. The Jasper City, Missouri City Council approved their data center installation against the recommendations of the City Planning Commission and their voters. In their April election, Jasper voted 4 city council members out. The remaining city council members are being considered for a recall vote. I, myself, have not made a decision yet for or against the data centers, but many people here have. I firmly believe that all citizens and their families should fight for what they believe is good for them and for Ottawa. My name is Greg Hernandez. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. That will take us to item 9, declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they have had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Hearing none, we will skip item 10, unfinished business, as there is none. Item 11, new business. Item 11A, make my move update from Ottawa Chamber of Commerce, CEO Ryland Miller. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Let me get my notes out here. Thank you for having me here this afternoon to be able to chat with you guys. I'm super excited, not only about this program, but the opportunity to be able to share with you and those listening online or here in person about what's gone on over the last 10 months through this grant initiative that the Chamber's been engaged with. I want to give you a little some updates about how the last 10 months have gone, and then also some next steps on where we might be able to head. I would say as well, if you have any questions or comments as we're moving through, don't be afraid to stop me, raise the hand, or just go ahead and shout. Hopefully I take a breath for you guys to interject, but otherwise don't feel bad to say something. I'm in charge of slides here, aren't I? Sweet deal. Perfect, yeah. To give a little bit of a recap for those maybe unaware, in July of 2025, the Chamber would have applied to a grant through the State's Treasurer's Office to be able to engage in a relocation program with the company Make My Move with the goal of recruiting 10 households to our community. In the end of September, we were one of 12 communities that were approved to be able to participate in this grant. And then it wasn't, a couple weeks later in October when the project actually started, we were up and running. A little bit of, as you can see there on the slide, that grant looked like a little over $145,000, and those dollars are used in two ways. One of those is to be able to pay the company Make My Move for the services they provide on the back end to be able to allow us to recruit these households, and then also as cash incentives for the families we're hoping to be able to incentivize to be able to come to our community. And so I am also very proud to say that as of today, we've actually moved 8 of the 10 8 households out of the goal of 10 as of this point, which is extremely exciting. I'll talk a little bit more about those households here in just a moment. But it's been a really fun 10 months, to be honest with you. And to give a little bit of background, so this slide here, it really talks about the work that Make My Move does on their end, and really why they're such great partners for this program. They really do the legwork in regards to finding the households interested in being able to relocate. As you can see here, and actually I probably should give a little bit of background as well if you don't remember, or maybe those who aren't aware, the way they're able to do that is they work, they're an online company, so they're all virtual, but they have a website where they host partner communities like our own. And they drive traffic to these communities' pages. They do that through tracking data on those cookies that you see. Sometimes you can disable. If people are looking stuff up, maybe like Zillow, they're looking for a home, or maybe they've looked up an article like best places to live in the Midwest. They target those individuals and say, hey, here's some really cool places to live that we partner with, Ottawa being one of those. And so you can see these 3 chunks here. We're actually going to go right to left. I put them out of order. The impressions shows over the last 10 months how many individuals have seen Ottawa's page on the Make My Move website. 140,000 unique visitors have seen Ottawa, maybe individuals who didn't even realize Ottawa, Kansas existed, which is really cool. Even if we didn't move a single household, the fact that from a marketing standpoint, we were able to touch 140,000 people is pretty cool. But then take one step to the left there, you can see that we've had 1.3 thousand likes on our page, and likes are kind of like if you're shopping on Amazon, maybe you see that item you like, and you throw it in your cart, but you actually haven't purchased it yet, you're saving it for later, maybe you put it on your wish list to be able to go back to. And then on the farthest left there, you can see there's actually been over 500 applications. And that looks like someone, maybe if we're using that same analogy of Amazon, they've actually checked out with the item. They're now saying, you know what, I'm going to put the time and a little bit of effort it takes to be able to apply and say, I'm actually interested in moving to your community. I'd love to be able to connect with you. And so whenever we started this program, I had no clue what the results were going to be. But to be honest, these have definitely blown my expectations out of the water. I think that's really cool to see how far they've come, and really to show again that partnership that we have with Make My Move has been a really productive one. I would also like to mention, so I've talked about how great of a partner Make My Move is. It's really a two-way street, though. So they bring people to our doorstep, but then really it's on our organization to be able to have conversations with these individuals and make sure they have the resources necessary to actually be able to make the moves. That looks like housing. That looks like finding a job. If they don't have one already, they're bringing one with them. And also be able to get connected to other community resources. Through conversations with the Make My Move team, again, there was 12 communities that got accepted in this grant program. They don't actually drop other names, but they've put us as the top 3 communities in the state so far this year through this program. So we've done a pretty good job, and like I said, it's been a really good partnership. Jump to the next slide. So prior to starting the program, there was plenty of unknowns on exactly how it would go. Our hope was that one, we'd be able to attract individuals, but really to attract individuals that want to be engaged. We're really hoping for young families. We were looking for hopefully people that want to be able to, like I said, step up and serve. And really that's exactly how it's panned out. As you see here, stat-wise, out of those 8 households that have moved so far to our community, that looks like 27 different individuals, 12 of those being children. the average age of the applicant, not so the average age of everyone combined, but of the applicant is 36. So again, young individuals and young families are the majority of the households that we've moved through this program to date. And as they apply originally, again, part of the 500 individuals that have applied, we get to work with them to that point. But also once they actually make the move, I get to sit down with these 8 households to date and get to chat with them about that process. And it's been extremely exciting and really rewarding to be able to have conversations with individuals that really looked forward to be able to move here and have now actually done so. Each household has a different path on how they've ended up in our community, but the one thing they all have in common is they're super excited to be here. And it's incredibly refreshing to have conversations with individuals that could have really moved anywhere in the United States, and they chose Ottawa. Some that's because of this program, but also some of it's kudos to people in this room who've made our community a really great place to live and work. And so they've really just shown some light, I guess, on how amazing Ottawa is. And as a result, like I said, they brought their families here. One specific story I want to share with you. So when I'm sitting down with these individuals, I get to have these anecdotal conversations about their experiences. And one gal, before she actually came in and we met, she sent me an email talking about just right when she arrived here in Ottawa. And I'm just going to read that for you verbatim, if that's all right. Because when I read it for the first time, it honestly just touched my heart. She said this: "I arrived late Tuesday night and spent a wonderful day yesterday getting to know the neighborhood. Ottawa is everything that I hoped it would be so far." I'm like, shucks. She said she's enjoyed purchasing from local merchants, and found everyone to be very welcoming. Messengers just delivered my bed this morning. I was also impressed with the Donut Palace after my walk today. And these stories are not unique. This is every single one of these households that we're having conversations with, again, have made the conscious decision to be able to move here and are loving it, which is just, like I said, a lot of fun. Here's some more data on those 8 households. One of those that stands out there is that household income. I believe the average household income for Ottawa at the moment being is somewhere around $70,000. So this is these individuals are a little less than double, I guess, the average household income level. Multiple people in those households. The professions bit kind of talks about some of the professions that they're in. It's pretty interesting. Out of the 8 households we've gotten so far, about half of the applicants actually have brought their job with them, so they have remote work. Another half have actually found jobs here locally. And that's just the applicant themselves, but I can also say anecdotally through conversations that, again, 3.4, the average household size. Many of them are bringing spouse, some of them are bringing children as well. And so those spouses are also finding work. I know, well, and with that being said, and some aren't. There's a couple that are staying home with the kiddos, which is fantastic, but there's also another couple spouses who have found jobs here locally, ones at the county courthouse, ones at one of the financial institutions in town. And so though this is a relocation program, this is just as much a workforce program. These are helping find individuals to work in our community businesses, which is pretty exciting as well. The top states of origin, we've actually had 2 from North Carolina. There's just a handful of other states that people have come from. But out of those 500 some applicants, we've had all 50 states represented in the applications. So even Hawaii and Alaska have applied to our community. And actually, one of those individuals from North Carolina, he actually grew up in Alaska throughout his life, moved to North Carolina for school, stuck around a little bit after that, and has now brought him, his wife, and his kiddo here to Kansas because of this program. So that's pretty neat as well. And so as we're talking about this anecdotal information, I also want to talk a little bit about what that looks like, that investment versus the impact. And so as I mentioned earlier, this grant process was an 80-20 grant. So 80% of that came from state funds. 20% of that grant has to look like local funds. For the City of Ottawa, that looked like $25,000 invested in phase 1. And so these numbers are based off that $25,000. So for every one of those dollars, that looks like over $20 of new annual economic input. And again, annual economic input, it's an important word there. And that also looks like $3.69 in new and state and local taxes. So that's where these are the dollars at play. But at the same time, as you heard just now, there's plenty of other benefits under the surface from bringing these individuals to our community. One of the examples of that is there would have been a household that would have came. They would have started, one of the spouses started volunteering at one of our local nonprofits after a month or so of being in town. And then after volunteering there for about a month or so, she got invited to be able to serve on the board for that nonprofit. So there's dollars being spent here and being invested here, but also there's service that's being had here. And again, just positive feelings and excitement around our community as well. So really shows the impact of what this program looks like. And really, this looks like next step. So we have, like I said, 2 months left in phase one. We are 2 households away. I'm pretty certain that we'll have all 10 of those households secured in probably the next 30 days. But the grant approved by the state legislature back in 2025 was for 2 years of funding, but with an application necessary. And so if we were to be able to move forward with phase 2, what that would look like, the conversations that Make My Move is one, they're extremely excited and they're very proud of what our community has been able to do so far. Enjoyed that partnership with them and they've enjoyed that partnership with us. And not only do they want to be able to see us continue in this program, what they'd really like to be able to see us do is scale this program. So as you can see, in phase 1, we would have done 10 households. They're pretty confident, and I am as well, that we'd actually be able to move 15 households if we were to move forward in phase 2. And what that looks like from a dollar figure standpoint is state grant dollars that allows us to be able to apply for more state grant dollars. But with the neat bit that's happened with phase 2, part of the 20% that we have to do locally, some of that Make My Move appropriated for as in-kind services that our organization had to put forward through this program. The time it takes to be able to talk to these individuals and connect them to community resources. What they did in phase 1 was really undershoot how much time and effort we put into it. And so for phase 2, they're able to really quantify that. And what they're proposing to the state is that that dollar figure from the in-kind portion from our organization really needs to be raised higher. And as a result, the benefit is that the local cash investment that we need to be able to put forward as a community is staying pretty stagnant. So $25,000 in phase 1, it would look like a little bit more than $26,000 to be able to pursue phase 2. So almost the exact same cash incentive investment, but for 5 more households on top of what we already had this year. And so I want to be able to say, one, thank you for letting me be able to talk to you about this program, but I also want to say thank you again for your investment in the program, your investment in the community. This is one of those things where we didn't know exactly where it would go whenever we started it, but I can very confidently say now that the impact this program has had on our community, on the lives of the individuals that have moved to our community, is obviously it's going to change the outlook of their family moving forward. But really, there's also a great benefit that we're getting from an investment standpoint, but also from a contribution standpoint, having these households, these great new households in our community. And so with that, I would be open to any questions if you have any. But again, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone at the chamber, because I know it's a team effort
Absolutely.
for you guys going into this. And so you had mentioned that this year, what they're basically essentially compensating back to you guys for your work is a little more on the level with what effort you guys are putting forward. Because this year, I know you guys have put in so much work, and really what you've probably gotten back from them has not probably aligned for you guys specifically. So they've kind of aligned that a little better to really make it, almost pay you guys back for your time that's invested better.
And yeah, if you're talking about a specific dollar figure, so for phase 1, the chamber didn't receive any dollars through this grant program. Actually, it's the opposite. We actually, some of that local investment we actually put forward. So there were about $1,500 for the program itself from the state level, but we also put forward some incentives as well from our organization that are in kind. So really, we actually paid to be part of this program. So no, definitely more work from our organization than we've seen from direct dollar benefit. But I think it's fair to say that this program and the initiative itself absolutely aligns with the Chamber's mission of trying to be able to create a great place to live, work, and play. And so we're absolutely benefiting from these 8, soon to be 10 households moved to our community, if that makes sense.
Yes, no, and thank you for that. And that's, even more kudos, I guess, to you guys that, you're not being paid for the time you're investing in this in a, truly financial aspect from the state. Do you know, I know you talked about 12 communities in Kansas. Do you guys ever get any info, like how many in the country are on Make My Move? And, what does that kind of look like with other places?
I couldn't give you a specific number. I would imagine 100, maybe more, across the United States. We do get regular monthly newsletter that kind of talks about some of the more successful states, or excuse me, programs throughout the different states. And they're really, I mean, goodness, everywhere across the nation. I would say, going back to the success that we've had here locally, there's actually been 2 different months where we actually were in some of the top recruitment across the entire nation, because we've had them kind of come in pockets. So there would have been 2 different months where we had 3 or more households to be able to move at the same time, and we were recognized from a national level through Make My Move because of that. But no, I couldn't give you the exact number on which how many programs there are active right now throughout the United States. But I want to say they've participated in some way across almost all 50 states.
So, Mr. Mayor, there are 317 places. Some of those are a little more active than others, I think, so.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. And I just want to, highlight, looking at census data, census data shows that we were in Ottawa, 11,941 in 2000. And in 2020, we were 12,400. So roughly 500 people over 20 years. And through this program, we're moving 27 people in a year. And so I think the impact that it actually has in potential, looking at going to round 2, what that really can have as that compounds, that trajectory is awesome. So thank you. I know you guys have put a lot of work into this, and it's just been really exciting to get the updates throughout the year when it's like, to get an email that says, hey, a few people are, you got people moving in. And so that's been really exciting.
Thank you for the support.
Any other questions, comments for Ryland? Yeah. I guess I would say you talked about phase 2. We don't have anything today to make a motion, move. Do you know what that looks like for coming back to us for phase 2?
I would lean on City Manager Thatcher. The application is open right now for
Okay.
phase 2. Yep. And I believe it would be our intention to be able to move, just about immediately.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, you're right, there's no formal action today. I think as staff, we've earmarked this money even from the initial phase, thinking that there would be the opportunity to apply for the grant again. Feel like we're positioned well for that, and the only conversation would be a little bit during budget of, what dollars are paying for that, so whether we can leverage TGT dollars, for example, in part, so it's not burdening our property tax as much as one solution, but this money is earmarked, so unless we decide against it, it is there in the budget for 27.
Great. Do you know when that application's open? July 1st?
It would have been July 1st. Last time it was August 15th originally, and then they pushed it back to August 30th, and I think they even pushed it back a little bit after that, the first phase, but I think that was a lot of learning pains, to be honest. I couldn't tell you exactly when that end date would be, but Make My Move just waiting for the word from us anyways.
Well, that's exciting, and, we would always welcome any of them to come if they would like to. It's daunting being up there.
No, that'd be fantastic, though. We really should.
So they may not want to, obviously. I understand that, but if they would like to, I think, it would be great to, in an official capacity, welcome any of those folks to the community if we can. So thank you for everything that you're doing, and we'll look forward to seeing you hopefully in August.
There we go.
So,
Good deal.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
That will take us to item 11B, public hearing to consider condemnation of a commercial structure located at 1641 South Main Street. This public hearing has been called to consider the condemnation of a commercial structure located at 1641 South Main Street. City staff will present information regarding the condition of the structure and the proposed condemnation. We have property improvement partner Hodges, and I will open the public hearing at 4:38.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greetings. This is the public hearing for 1641 South Main, Knights Inn. The staff recommends that the City Commission conduct a public hearing set by the resolution you adopted, number 2013-26, and based on the record, adopt a resolution ordering the repair or demolition of structures located at 1641 South Main. This is pursuant to Chapter 6, Article 14, dangerous, unsafe, and blighted structures. Staff continues to find the structures unsafe, unsanitary, and unfit for human use and constitute a blight on the community. These are photographs. The one on the left, the aerial is from just after the tornado in April, and the others are in July. The Knights Inn Motel was severely damaged by the tornado of April 13th. The property sits at one of the busiest and most visible intersections in Ottawa. It contains several motel buildings. Multiple buildings lost their roofs, remain open to the weather. Wall sections unbraced, doors stand open, and the building contents continue to be exposed to wind and rain. The property is an attractive nuisance and hazard to the public. No repairs or demolition have begun, but representatives from the Knights Inn ownership are here to speak about their plans for the property. Guys, wanna come up?
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Ashish Patel. I'm representing Ravi and his family as a business consultant for this property. First, I would like to thank the city staff and everybody, mayor, commissioner, for patient and working with us on this scenario here. We understand and respect the city's responsibility to protect public safety and the community, and we appreciate communication and cooperation was happening for last couple of months. Tonight hearing was scheduled based on the circumstances that has existed several weeks ago. Since then, great deal has changed, and not physically, but on the back end, on the paperwork side. First and most important is ownership never disagree that the building should be ultimately be demolished. From the very beginning after the tornado, we understood that the extent of the damage and recognized the demolition would likely to be the only outcome long run. The challenge was not to deciding what to do, it was determine when we can do it. Before demolition could begin, the insurance company required the property to remain intact while multiple inspection, engineering evaluation, documentation, and claim review were completed. Beginning demolition before those requirements were satisfied could be jeopardize the substantial insurance recovery that was essential for the owner's financial. Although that process took several months, it was necessary step. Throughout the time, ownership continued working towards the same goal with the city, removing the unsafe structure responsibly and permanently. Today, I'm pleased to report that those major obstacles now have been removed. The insurance claim has been fully resolved. So now we have full authority to do whatever we like to do with this building. We were under the pressure from insurance company. You remove one brick and this claim could be going down the hill. The mortgage lender has been paid in full. So that was our first responsibility as soon as the first check came from insurance company. After carefully evaluating every possibility options over the past several months, ownership had made the difficult decision not to rebuild at this location. Instead, the family have decided to move forward with demolition, restore the property in accordance with the city requirement, and then market the land for the sale. We have already received proposal from 3 qualified demolition contractor, and we are currently finalizing remaining details. The next step is some testing that's required as a asbestos testing, which is expected to schedule very soon. Once that completed and after receiving requirement and the permit for the demolition, the contractor will ready to proceed. Based on the proposal we have received, the demolition itself will take approximately 3 to 4 weeks. Assuming there are no unforced delay related to any testing, permitting, weather, or other regulatory requirement, ownership is committed to completing the demolition process within ideally 60, but no more than 90 days. I would also like to share final thoughts. For the city, this property represents unsafe structure that needs to be removed. For Ravi and his family, it represents the chapter that they live there and trying to close. For the past several months, they have lived throughout uncertainty of tornado, the insurance process, financial obligation, and countless difficulties decisions. As long as this property remains unsolved, they cannot truly move forward with next chapter of their life either. Completing the demolition is not just about removing the building for them. It is about allowing the family to finally put the difficult experience behind them and move forward. That is why you have our commitment that we intend to move through this process as quickly and as responsibly possible. We are not here tonight to dispute the city's concern or delay the process. Our objectives are now exactly the same as city: to safely remove the structure, restore the property, and protect the surrounding community. With that in mind, we respectfully ask Commission to recognize the substantial progress that have been made since the hearing was originally scheduled and allow ownership to continue moving forward under the voluntary demolition plan. We will continue communicating with the city staff throughout the process and will comply with every city requirement until the project is fully completed. Thank you for your time, patience, and consideration. And any question, concerns, we are ready to take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And pardon me, did you say, was your name Ashish?
Ashish Patel.
Thank you, and thank you for the
I was
work.
here for this hearing, but just to let you know that I am the chairman for Blue Spring Chamber of Commerce, and the presentation was just say, I took very serious note. I'm going back to my board to look into this.
You definitely should. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for mentioning the work that has been done, on the back end. That, in situations like this, the demolition's obviously a lot of times the shortest process in dealing with insurance and going through all of that. And so thank you for your guys' work and for being here today. And,
Thank you, yes.
whatever happens with the demolition and everything, we hope you guys still stay in Ottawa. That likely won't happen, but, want to wish you the best going forward for sure.
Mr. Patel, you mentioned demolition of the building. Is it every building on the property will be demoed, or are you leaving the office building? Because I know it was mostly intact.
Yes, so we are working with a realtor on selling the land. He put few options on the table. One of the option is somebody already offered to buy the land, and they are thinking to use untacked building as the office and demolition of other buildings. So we will be working with the city and trying to see what's the right move to do there, allowing the whole demolition, all the 5 buildings, only leaving the office as is, but it's all about how things will move, what the permit we will get, and what somebody wants to buy. We also have somebody talk to us, says we will buy as is. So there are all the options open, but we want to move with our process, with our timeline. And if we get a good offer with building number for the office building as is, fine. If not, we will do the complete demolition and move on.
Along with that, does that include filling in the pool?
Yes,
Just think
filling
that
the
as an-
pool,
okay.
removing the big sign, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Property Improvement Partner Hodges, do you have anything else to add?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Patel, for the detailed update of your plans, and Robbie for coming. To wrap this up, the city staff wants to describe the process that you have in front of you here. The commission can decide whether to issue a resolution. One is attached to your documents. You may order repair or demolition with a deadline to begin work. If you choose to do that, staff will issue the required notifications in the newspaper and by certified mail. And staff will continue to monitor compliance. If the work is not started and diligently pursued, the city can carry out the demolition. If the city carries out the demolition and pays for the repairs the owner has built, and if the owner does not pay, the city places a lien, tax lien on the property. Once again, the financial considerations are that if the owner fails to demolish or repair, in this case demolish as ordered, the city can proceed with demolition and assess the costs against the property. City staff, while we're happy with the detailed outline of the plans, and we have no reason to doubt that they will proceed, still recommend the adoption of the resolution attached. This will allow us to not have to start this process over should something go wrong. If nothing goes wrong, we will just work with the property owners as they carry out their plans and issue permits and do the inspections as needed. So we do recommend the adoption of the resolution. The alternative actions are to continue the hearing to a future date for additional information or to take no action.
I just have a question. In the resolution, it does say, that work must commence within 30 days. And then, kind of along with their timeline, they were hoping that work would, somewhat be complete within about 90 days, which is the expiration or the time allowed for this. Is there some flexibility onto what that work looks like for the 30 days starting period? Like if they're moving towards it, we're not going to just come right in and mess anything up in that way, are we?
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I think you're exactly right. We've talked about this, and we would consider the start of the work as the beginning of the permit application.
Okay.
And then their timeline is acceptable to us. We've discussed that, and things happen. We know that, and there's flexibility, so you're not tying the owners or your city staff or yourselves into any rigid timeframe there.
Thank you. Kind of following that same line, Mr. Patel had mentioned looking at asbestos. If asbestos is found, that likely will change what insurance would have to pay out to cover the cost of demo and probably delay that even longer. So, in this, as we're talking about these day deadlines, like what that might look like if they come back tomorrow or in 3 weeks, whenever asbestos may be done, say that with us, we kind of, within that process, as long as we are making strides, for lack of a better term, that process is still kind of moving
Yeah,
forward.
I don't think it would change significantly. I think it would just change the demolition process a little bit so that they would have to adhere with asbestos removal requirements. And that report, I think, has it been requested yet? They did the inspection?
No, they have scheduled.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, it's been a few years since you've seen these. We've been taking these through municipal court, and you've already touched on a couple of the issues that maybe it's been, since some of you have been on the commission since we've done one of these, and we do consider work to start with the permit. The reason that we recommend from both the legal standpoint and the community development standpoint that if you've come this far, you go ahead and pass the resolution, is to keep pressure on. Obviously, things change, circumstances change, but our staff is acutely aware of the desire to work with particularly this owner, but any owner that comes in, whether they're getting building permit for new construction or a demolition permit to tear down a condemned structure. But those deadlines that are in your resolution are subject to some discretion with staff, and we do try to work with folks as these things come up. Typically, an asbestos removal for a building that's going to be demolished, they come in and they get the material, they bag it, it's sealed up, it's buried in a special part of a landfill. But it's not, while it's safe and contained, it's different than if they were rehabbing that building. You're not worried about the surfaces and other surfaces around. You're not worried about preserving drywall in other areas of the building, or you're going to go ahead and tear it all down. So I think, Keith is right. This is not going to take a lot more time depending on what they find. And I think that if you pass the resolution today, we've got great communication with the owners. I think that this will be a success in terms of getting that cleaned up and having the site restored.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for the property owner, the representative, or property improvement partner Hodges?
Is there an estimated start date on demolition?
30 days?
20 days
30 days is what's
at most.
expected.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions? We will close the public hearing at 4:53. That will take us to item 11C, request for approval of resolution to condemn a commercial structure at 1641 South Main Street. This resolution authorizes the governing body to declare the commercial structure at 1641 South Main Street to be unsafe or dangerous, and to direct that such structure be demolished or repaired and made safe and secure.
Mr. Mayor? Or did you?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I do have some questions, so when we get to that.
I move that we approve item 11C on our agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Attorney, I do have a couple questions that you could hope clarify for me. It says, and I don't think we've ever actually, we've just done a condemnation. We've never suggested that they repair or demo. So I think, I don't know if there's any clarification or if the resolution's requesting that.
So what you've referred to as a condemnation is exactly that. We've declared a structure to be unsafe. You'll recall the last one that you may have done, Commissioner Crowley, was on North Main. There was a house there that had some fire damage in it. And we put the code and the state statute say repair or remove. The reality is that sometimes these structures are beyond repair and they need to be removed. If you choose that option, you can say simply the decision tonight is that it's a dangerous, unsafe structure and it has to be removed, that it's beyond repair. And certainly the insurance company has agreed with you and made that finding through their engineering report. We can, if you direct us to, we can make that edit to the resolution that it is to remove, not to repair or remove. But this is a condemnation and an ordering of the structure to be placed back into a condition that is safe for the public, one way or another. And you can decide whether it's one way or the other.
And I don't think we need to clarify, just because of their, what they said they were planning on doing was the demolition. So, I'm glad you mentioned, the North Main one, the fire project, because that kind of leads into my next question. In an issue like that, does the city typically retains some insurance money?
So we have local ordinance, there's state law and local ordinance both that allow for us to take a lien in certain parts of the insurance proceeds to ensure that if the owner were to walk away from the structure and leave it damaged by fire or wind, in this case, our local ordinance includes wind damage, that we have the access to those funds. And we notify the insurance company when the tornado came through for those structures that were questionable. We notified them that, we do assert that lien and those proceeds, I think it's 15% should be retained and paid to the city in case demolition has to be done.
Great. I know it was mentioned a couple times about a property lien, but it would be nice if their insurance company would pay for it instead of maybe a future prospective buyer, which I guess they would know about it at that point either way, but.
Right.
And then also, the condemnations for the address, which is all of the buildings. Since talking to them, they may be, requesting that one of the buildings stays. So how do we clarify that?
So because you have repair or remove, if that building can be made structurally sound, the office building there on the north side of the property, it could be allowed to remain.
Okay.
The rest clearly cannot at this point and will be removed.
Perfect.
And you'll note that not only is for the address, but for the legal description so that we get everything that's on that parcel, including the pool.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have roll call, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Van Layden?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
And Mayor Clayton?
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you. And thank you to the applicants as well. That'll take us to item 11D, public hearing to consider condemnation of a multifamily structure located at 1017 South Ash Street. This public hearing has been called to consider the condemnation of a multifamily structure located at 1017 South Ash Street. City staff will present information regarding the condition of the structure and the proposed condemnation with Property Improvement Partner Hodges again. I will open the public hearing at 4:58.
Thank you, Mayor Clayton. Okay, this is the public hearing for the property at 1017 South Ash Street. Staff recommends the City Commission conduct a public hearing set by the resolution you adopted, number 2014-26, and based upon the record, adopt a resolution ordering the repair or demolition of the structures located at 1017 South Ash. Staff continues to find the structures to be unsafe, dangerous, and unfit for human use or habitation and constitute a blight on the neighborhood. I believe all the pictures here are from this month. These are views from Ash, and then walking around the main structure in a clockwise fashion. And this is the smaller building that was a duplex that suffered a fire at the end of last year. One from the front, one from the back. So the background is the north building, that's the smaller one, suffered a fire, has been unoccupied since a fire in October of '25. Staff have determined the building structurally damaged beyond repair. The south building has 5 units. At the time of this writing of these slides and your memos, 3 were believed to be unoccupied. Yesterday, I learned that there's 3 were believed to be occupied, with 2 unoccupied. Yesterday, when I went out to give final notices and reminders of this hearing, I saw that a 4th was occupied. So 1 is unoccupied of the 5 apartment units in the building. On this south building, siding, roofing, and other exterior components are detached and dislodged. The building exterior is too deteriorated to repair based on assessment by staff. 2 units were fire damaged, according to our initial reports, in January of 2022. One of those units is occupied, the other is vacant. No repairs have been made to our knowledge. No permits have been pulled. The process under the city code is if repair costs exceed 50% of the structure's fair market value, the code requires demolition rather than repair. This is if you adopt a resolution ordering repair or demolition. It must be demolition if the costs exceed 50% of the structure's fair market value. The property owner is required to provide an estimated repair cost. The commission would issue the resolution order for repair or demolition with a deadline to begin work. In this case, in the suggested resolution, it's 30 days. Staff will issue the required notifications and newspaper publication and monitor compliance with your resolution. If repair or demolition is not started within the 30 days, the city can carry out the demolition. If the city pays for demolition or repairs, the owner is billed, and if the owner does not pay, the city places a tax lien on the property. The Franklin County appraised value for 2026 is $91,080. $79,370 of that is land value. All the buildings combined are valued on that Franklin County appraiser's report at $11,710. Again, the financial considerations: if the owner fails to repair or demolish as ordered, the city may proceed with demolition and assess costs against the property. If needed, the city can place a tax lien on the property to recover costs. At this point, I think Mr. Fox is here. Did you want to speak to the commission, Mr. Fox? It's your turn to come up if you'd like.
What's that?
Would you like to come up and say anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't know where to start. So I had a gentleman in apartment number 7, which is one of the back ones. Started the place on fire about 11:30 at night. Or it's about 11:30 at night. And they showed up and got it put out. And I moved next door in a unit that I just evicted a client. And it's gone downhill since then. They put a notice on my front door and told me I could not go over on the property, period. I had all kinds of legal papers inside the property, documents that I needed and everything. And after a month, which was, we made it somewhere the end of November, I unscrewed the plywood on the south side, on the west side, and went in and got my documentations. I think it was in April, and I was told to stay off the property. Couldn't go on the property to do anything. Couldn't clean up the yard, couldn't move this, couldn't do that. Anytime I did something, the city was down my throat. It's 2 units behind. There's a driveway in between that I have material parked on it that I was going to use down at Garnett. Now the material that I have on it will repair the apartment number 2. I had a structural engineer come look at it. This is the end of July. He come in 1st of May and said he needed the very front part of the behind unit on the east end because that was what was damaged. And so when he looked at it the first time, he said, can you take more, what part of the building can you take down? I said, none of it. He said, well, I need the front door and that front truss removed so I can see the rest of the structure. The fire had gotten up into the attic and went to the west, and with water, they was able to put everything out, but it made the ceilings drop in apartment 6, so I've got ceiling damage all through the top part. I had an electrician, okay, and I'm in violation, I understand that, bringing somebody to look at the job. What I can't figure out is I'm told to get it cleaned up, but I'm being told to stay off the property. How do I do both? Anybody have any answers? That's where I'm at. How can I clean the place up when I've been told to stay off of it?
Certainly, sir, if you had a demolition permit for the site and you were bringing in someone to
I'm not talking about the inside of the building.
Okay.
I'm talking about the outside, that the fire had been drug outside and everything. And the stuff that's on the north end, it had an old tin roof. Well, back in, was it April that we had high winds? Well, one of those sheets of tin, got ripped off. Couldn't take it off. And all the debris that I had on the trailer and stuff like that has blown all over the road. I can't clean that up because I stay off the property. How do I satisfy both and get something done? Because when I done something, I was in violation.
Keith, do you want to speak at all to what that notice actually stated?
that?
I'm asking Keith to speak a little bit to what the notice stated for the governing body. If we could let Keith speak to what the notice said.
This gentleman.
Keith.
Real quick. To my knowledge, the building, the smaller, more fire damaged structure with 2 units has been marked unsafe for occupation.
That's not so.
And there has been, I could find nothing in the record saying to keep off the property, meaning the land outside of it. And neither I, nor Chris, nor anybody in the office that I know of has said that. verbally.
They ran a yellow tape from the fence line over to the adjacent building, around the telephone post that goes down, and that's about 25 or 30 feet west of apartment number 6. That included the whole area there. The driveway, the front yard of the property, where the firemen drug all the stuff out the front door that they thought was fire damage, clear to the other end. So from the back of the unit that was burnt, any furniture, anything like that that was on fire, they drug outside and watered down. That area I was told to stay off of. Now, how do I clean things up if I'm told to stay off of it?
So commissioners, it's highly likely that, and perhaps Chief Dillon could speak to this, that after the fire, shortly after the fire, that area was taped off for the safety of the community and to avoid the area. It could have been temporarily after the fire had taken place that we asked that nobody enter that property, and that could have been more from a fire perspective. Again, Chief Dillon is here if we want to hear from him on that matter, but the no occupancy is primarily just ensuring that no one is living in the structure, so that doesn't prevent.
No, I was told to stay off the property.
By who?
The guy that was just here.
No, sir. It's no occupancy. You can't live in there, but that
I
doesn't
don't
mean.
want to live in there. I don't want to live in
I
there.
understand that, sir. You can
But
enter
I
the
want to
property.
I want to clean it up.
Sure, you can enter the property. You can clean it up. It's no occupancy. No one can live
That's not
there.
what I was told. I was told to stay off from the from the yellow line to my property on the east end.
Okay. Do you have any
And the
documentation?
driveway in between. Stay off the
Do you have
property.
any documentation of that?
Yes.
Okay, you can share
Well,
that.
do I have documentation that in writing?
Sure. Yes, sir.
No, I don't have that in writing. That's what I was told to do. And they plywood the door shuts on everything. When I unscrewed the plywood on the west end to get my documentations, the next day they showed up and said, "You were inside the building." I said I had things to get out of it because I wasn't guilty of anything. I didn't even screw the plywood back up. I went in and got documentation I needed to carry on my life.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So I've got a structural engineer that wants the front unit, the front of the east unit removed. The front door, because that's where all the damage is. He wants to see what other damage that's in the ceiling on the remaining part. He doesn't think there's any structural damage. The sheetrock has collapsed because of all the water used. I'm not complaining about that. Because I've got to have proof or documentation to you guys to prove the structure's soundness. But I can't get that. And now I'm here at the end of July, and it's rained about every third day since the second day of April. And with all the debris that's on the ground over there, it's too dangerous to go over there, clean up, and get somebody hurt. So, plus by not being able to go onto their property, makes it pretty hard to clean it up.
Okay, sir. Well, we appreciate your comments, and you're here tonight to have made your case of what you want to do, and I believe you've done that. So
No, I haven't. I need the structural engineer.
Yes, sir.
Let me remove the front of the building on the east end.
yes,
So
sir.
he can make it. He can make a determination. He's a structural engineer from Paola.
Okay, so you can have that structural engineer go in and do what he needs to do. You've
No,
made your-
I've got a drawing what I want to remove.
Okay, you can make that case, and if you want to pull a demolition permit or whatever you need to do, but you made your case here tonight, and we've got to hear from Chief Dillon on this a little bit, and discuss as a body what the next steps are moving forward.
So none of my paperwork it's just like when they put the fire out, they charged the guy with 6 counts of larceny. And when I was there in May, they hadn't done anything. He's still in jail. They haven't done anything.
City Attorney Finch, could you touch on, back a few slides, it mentioned if the repair costs were more than 50%, state statute says, I don't know if Keith, okay, or the city code,
City code,
okay.
yeah, 61408.
And so the structure value is
What am I allowed to do?
$5,800?
What's going to happen? You're going to condemn the place?
Well, that's what this hearing is for, is to discuss what we are able to do and what we are going to do. And that's where we are talking that, if you can read up there, I guess you can see on this one maybe better, the line 1 showing if repair costs exceed 50% of the structure's fair market value. So down below, roughly $5,800.
I can't get anybody in the building because of what they did with the plywood. I can't go inside that building when it said don't go in. And the front entrance, where I had to take the measurements, to get the length of the members of the trusses and stuff, had to be removed. I did that. I have an engineering degree.
Sir, could you do me a favor? Could you go back to the mic, just so, I mean, anybody listening to us can hear you better, a little bit better? Appreciate it. Thank you. But just so you understand, we're going to have a discussion whether we're going to condemn it, but that doesn't, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because even in here it says, even if it exceeds, the owner of the property shall within the time specified in the order repair, alter, or improve. So even if we do a condemnation, he still has the ability to repair, correct? Hold on. I'm just clarifying something with our city attorney.
Okay.
Because on City Code Chapter 6, where Keith was reading off,
The code section reads as follows. It's subparagraph B. If the repair, alteration, or improvement of the structure can be made at a cost which shall not exceed 50% of the fair market value of the structure, the owner of the property shall, within the time specified, repair, alter, or improve the structure to render it safe and fit for human use or habitation, or vacate and close the structure until such time as he is.
Can I
compliant
get
with
that
the
in writing?
it's in our code. So when you say can be repaired at cost,
So the
Not to
idea,
exceed.
yeah, Commissioner, the idea that behind this section is not forcing an owner, an example, say there's a fire, and it would cost more than 50% of the property's value to repair it. This keeps the city from making someone spend more than 50% to repair the property so that they're not in an economically disadvantaged situation. If an owner wanted to rebuild and the damage was greater, they can choose to do that, but the city cannot make them do that. And in this case, what's happened, and Mr. Fox, the question before the city commission tonight is whether or not they believe this structure as it sits today is unsafe and a threat to the public health and safety here in the community.
Based on whose opinion?
Based on their staff's recommendation and the findings that were contained in that report that was just presented. I
have a structural engineer that'll disagree with that.
And if the commission proceeds tonight, they will pass a resolution. You will have time to get a building permit pulled by a licensed contractor who can work with your structural engineer. And if you determine that you economically want to spend the money to do that and fix it, you can do that. If it's not economically feasible, it has to be torn down.
Can I make one other comment?
Sure.
Here, I'm going to say 2022, I had a tenant start number one on fire. The the fire department was able to get there soon enough they could put it out. And I fought with the city for 3 years to get it changed into a vacant unit that I could store stuff in. Well, they finally, after 3 years, allowed that. I don't want to spend another 3 years fussing and fighting over something. I had a structural engineer come the middle of April and say, I need to see this to determine this, because I've been told to stay off the property.
Mr. Fox, we can't relitigate that tonight, but what I can tell you is if the commission decides to pass this resolution, you'll have a very short time frame that will ensure we're not going to spend 3 years on this. And you can get a licensed contractor and your structural engineer to come in with plans on how you want to rebuild it. You will have the ability to have your structural engineer look at it if he or she wants to. And if you decide not to
Okay, he
repair it,
can
it's
go on
torn
the
down.
property. He can go on the property.
He will be able to go on the property to assess the condition of the property. That is correct.
Can I get that in writing?
You've got it right here on the record. It's on video.
No, I needed to give it to him. I need
He
something
can, he
in
can
writing.
call the Community Development Department and work with Mr. Hodges and Mr. Finch.
I don't want to work with him.
Well, sir, that's our property improvement person. That's who you're going to be working with. You're going to be working with the Community Development
No,
Department.
the contractor would have to work with him.
Well, you're the owner, sir, and so ultimately permits and things will be pulled in your name.
Well, we have a difference on opinion, and his
Well,
opinion and mine don't.
Well, that may be the case, sir. But tonight, the question is whether this property will be declared unsafe and a blight. And do you have
That's
anything
all I
else?
want. That's all I want.
You want it declared to be unsafe?
No, I thought you said safe. I thought.
No. Unsafe.
No, it's not unsafe, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
We have a different, and I'm okay with that.
That's fine. And you've
But I
made,
still need the opportunity to get somebody in there that's
Sir?
qualified to check
Sir?
out the structure and give value.
Mr. Fox, you've been told that's allowed for you to have a licensed contractor and a structural engineer. Do you have anything else you want the commission to know?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Community partner Hodges or Chief, do you have?
I just addressed the the yellow tape. That's something that we've always put up to try to keep people from getting into the building. That's temporary. It wasn't permanent. At the time of the fire, we waited for the state fire marshal's office to get there, so we made sure nobody got into the building. So our investigators and their investigators could conduct their investigation. The person that was assumed to have started the fire, that is handled by the county court. So the district attorney would have handled that case. I don't have any more information for you on that. So I don't know about still in jail and all that kind of stuff. So, but if you need any further information, I don't think that the community development would have put up tape and told them to stay out. We also, to keep people out of unsafe buildings, we will put up plywood to keep people out. We'll do it on windows, doors, stuff like that, so they can't get into it. But it wasn't a permanent, you cannot go back onto the property.
Thank you. City Attorney Finch, could you just, I'm kind of in a situation like this where there is litigation against someone, a crime was committed or was accused of having been committed, I guess I would say, for potential arson. That person may be financially liable. How would that be, if this does get condemned, the building owner cannot pay for that, it goes on as a lien, like summary judgment or whatever, that from the courts, that person be held financially responsible for the cost of, or how?
That would be a civil matter
Is that-
between the owner and in this case, what we call the tortfeasor, the
Okay.
person who committed the tort against the property. And that would not be something the city would weigh in on.
Yeah.
He would have legal rights and avenues open to him. He should consult with an attorney on that. But for the purposes of the commission's determination, I just want to clarify a couple of things. Mr. Hodges, did you ever tell Mr. Fox that he could not go on the property at all?
No, sir, Mr. Finch.
Did you put up any caution tape on the property?
No, sir.
And do you allow, even on a condemned structure, someone to have a contractor or engineer assess the property to see if repair can be made?
Absolutely.
So I think we do have a difference of opinion, as Mr. Fox said, about what the facts were and how we got here today. But hopefully we've clarified for him that if he does want to make a run at trying to repair this structure, even passing a condemnation resolution tonight will give him that chance. He can get an engineer over to the property and get a contractor over to the property and take a look and see if it's feasible to do that. So.
And he has 30 days to do that is that correct? Do we know if he had insurance on the property at all? I mean, I don't know.
I do not know. The records that I saw don't reflect any capture of any insurance funds.
All right. And if we do approve this, can we require proof of financing or some kind of proof of funding this rather than to wait another 30 days? Or do we have an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, let's go back to your first question, Commissioner. I think Ashley Heard from the Community Development Department has information on
So-
insurance.
I requested those insurance funds and he did not have insurance on the
Okay.
property.
As to the 30 days, Commissioner, and so remember, we said that typically we'll count, have you come in and got a building permit? Have you had a licensed contractor come in and do that? If that has not happened in 30 days, it's a pretty good sign that it's probably not going to happen. And that's why the department then has the ability to proceed and say, okay, this isn't getting done. We're going to proceed with either repairing or demolishing the structure.
And just for the record, we do have multiple letters that were sent asking for plans for repair, asking for engineer's report and such, and no responses on file.
And that'd be the same thing once, if we deem it, to be condemned, would have something mailed out to the address for the owner on file.
Yes, as soon as you pass your resolution, we're required to, and we would make sure this happens, send out certified mail to the owner and the occupants and everybody that has a stake in the property, and also publish the resolution in the newspaper.
Thank you.
The same procedures that had to be fulfilled prior to this hearing.
And I don't know if we've ever had this come up before or not on a condemnation, but there's a lot of things outside the homes and some vehicles, looks like maybe abandoned. Is that something that we deal with at a separate time, or how does that dealt with? Do we know?
We've had it come up before. Oftentimes when we get to a condemnation, we had one that was in Muni Court. It was a garage that had a bunch of things around on the ground. And so that didn't make it to the commission. That went a different route, but that can all be handled as part of the unsafe and blighting influence. When you talk about stuff out on the ground, tall grasses and weeds as part of a condemnation, vermin and raccoons, possums, rats, mice, all making a home in there. It's all part of this notion that it's a blighting influence on the rest of the neighborhood.
And I just want to say from a staff perspective, I mean, we're more than willing to work with the property owner. And so if he comes back and obviously having an engineering report, engaging a licensed contractor, those matters take time. So if he's made progress on that as we approach the 30-day deadline, we can always come back to the commission and say, Mr. Fox is here to represent himself, or has expressed to us that he has got a structural engineer out, but that report is not done yet, or he has engaged a licensed contractor, but that bid's not ready yet. We can simply bring the item back to you and say, would you like to grant a temporary extension? So.
Any further questions for staff, City Attorney Finch? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing at 5:26. That'll take us to item 11E, request for approval of resolution to condemn a multifamily structure at 1017 South Ash Street. The resolution authorizes the governing body to declare the multifamily structure at 1017 South Ash Street to be unsafe or dangerous, and to direct the structure be demolished or repaired and made safe and secure.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion. We approve item 11E on our agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Layden?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
And Mayor Clayton?
I vote yes. Motion passes. That'll take us to item 11F, request for approval of agreements with Benesh for Airport Runway Extension Project. Consider approving agreements with Benesh for professional services related to the Airport Runway Extension Project, and we have Director Welsh here presenting.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. We've heard a little bit about this before in the past, some of the grants leading up to the project that we're moving towards, hopefully as soon as next year, maybe into 2028. But what you have before you tonight is the request for the authorization for the city manager to execute 2 professional service agreements with Alfred Benesh and Company. These agreements are going to represent this next step in advancing our runway extension project at the Ottawa Municipal Airport and allow us to begin the engineering design phase.
Oh, here we go.
So the first agreement is for the engineering design of the runway extension project in the amount of $670,500. Second agreement is for the required boundary adjustment work in the amount of $11,848. Approving these agreements are going to allow us to move this project from the planning into the design while keeping us on schedule with the state's grant requirements. Early this year, the city was awarded funding through the Kansas Airport Improvement Program through KDOT. State awarded approximately $603,000 towards the engineering design of this runway extension. Before we can begin any work, KDOT requires that this grant agreement and engineering agreements be fully executed. Costs incurred before these agreements are not in place before these agreements are in place are not eligible for reimbursement. Benish has served as our airport engineering consultant for multiple years and has already been involved in the planning and development for this project. Their familiarity with our airport and FAA requirements makes them well-positioned to complete this design efficiently. I did invite Brad Waller, a representative from Benish, to come down and speak tonight, but he thought vacation was more important than coming and speaking to you, so we'll let him know about that in the future. The engineering agreement covers everything necessary to prepare this project for construction, including the topographic survey, geotechnical investigation, environmental clearance, FAA compliant design, construction plans, specifications, cost estimates, and bidding assistance. The second agreement is much smaller dollar-wise, but equally as important. It completes the boundary adjustment work that's required before the runway can be extended. This includes the legal survey work, the recording of the revised airport property boundaries. Together, these agreements move us from planning into a construction-ready project. This milestone is an important one because once the design is complete, we'd be positioned to pursue the construction funding and ultimately extend the runway by another 1,000 feet. From the financial standpoint, the city's investment is relatively small compared to the overall engineering cost. This engineering agreement is, like I said, $670,500, which is a large number. But under the KAIP program, the state will reimburse 90% of that, or approximately that $603,000 that I had mentioned before, leaving our required 10% local match at $67,050. The boundary adjustment work totals just under $12,000. It is not eligible as a part of that grant reimbursement, so that would fall, the entire cost would fall on the city. So in total, the city's financial responsibility for both of these agreements would be $78,898 while leveraging more than $603,000 in state funding. Projects align with multiple of our strategic pillars, but one specifically to point out is the infrastructure and stewardship of resources by investing in critical transportation assets while leveraging significant outside funding. So with that, staff recommends authorizing the city manager to execute both professional agreement services with Benish so work can begin on the design phase of Runway 1735 extension project. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Welsh. You touch on, I know in our agenda packet, it has an aerial view that it shows multiple parcels. You know, could you, I guess, clarify, does the city already own those parcels and this would be going through, is it acquiring land or an easement through someone else's?
So there would be some land acquisition that would be required. That would be on the farthest southern parcel that is in your packet. That would be that secondary design work that we were talking about in that agreement. So that way they could lay out exactly what we need to go to negotiate as far as the property that we would have to acquire.
Okay, so this is essentially defining what that legal description of what we would need to acquire would be.
Correct.
Okay.
You know how many acres that's going to be, Director Welsh?
It's going to be approximately 20, maybe
Okay.
just over 20, I
I'm
think.
just looking at it here. I believe Rumford's on that, is that correct? Or
I believe that's the
and do
case.
we know are they willing to sell, or is that just, this is too preliminary to discuss that, I guess, right now?
I'd say we're probably pretty early into the
Okay,
stages of
all right.
that.
Yeah, we've not approached any landowners until we have an idea of what, it may be an easement too, Commissioner. As you get to the end of the runways, there's flight easements, and it may not even be surface right. It may be a surface and land right.
Well, I, for one, know Jimmy Reeder's done a great job running our airport for the last several years. I'm not sure how long he's been there, but he's done a great job with this, and I'm really excited about getting an extension to that runway. So I'll make the motion we approve item 11F on our agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I would just reiterate that same thing. You know, we've had a lot of work going in out there, and some of the grant programs, these 90-10 splits, Leveraging the funds that we have and pulling in state and federal and other entities to bring funds to open the airport to more opportunities is some great stuff to see the work going on now and what the future kind of looks like out there as well. May I have roll call, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Layden?
Yes.
And Mayor Clayton?
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you, Director. That will take us to item 12, comments by City Manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, operational highlights for utilities, electric distribution completed downtown lighting improvements, replaced aging utility poles, advanced underground utility work for new crosswalk at 15th and Ash. Water distribution continued progress on the 19th Street water main replacement. Water plant treated 1 million gallons of drinking water and completed state required sampling and advanced lead and copper rule compliance. Police coordinated Franklin County Fair staffing assignments for emergency management. Fire, B shift used Tower 1 to assist a tree company worker stuck in their bucket truck after a mechanical issue. Public Works replaced tube at Bus Barn entrance, patched 200 potholes, advanced construction of the rectangular rapid flashing beacon crosswalk at 15th and Ash, completed repairs to parks and splash pad, and then continued mowing and weed eating. Upcoming events this Saturday at OMA at 7 p.m. will be Surf and Safari, tribute to Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Saturday, August 1st, is fishing with firefighters at Orlis Cox from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then Tuesday, August 4th, is National Night Out at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Just a reminder, the deadline to register a block party is July 31st. I just wanted to remind everyone of our open board positions and the QR code to go ahead and apply to that link or visiting the website along with emailing City of Ottawa at ottawaks.gov. A couple employment opportunities, a pro shop attendant, that'll close on August 6th, and then a custodian, that'll close on July 31st. So next week, we didn't have any business for the study session, but thought it pertinent to dive a little bit deeper into the budget, so we'll be replacing that study session with a budget workshop. That'll be at 4:00 p.m. in the study session room next week, so.
Thank you for your update. One question, do we have a timeline on, the work for 15th and Ash? Are we looking to be done potentially before school starts? Or do we have an estimated timeline? Are we still waiting on things?
It'll be done before school starts, no question. I believe a lot of the infrastructure is already in. Have DJ.
Yeah.
The hope is to see everything standing and functioning the way that it's designed to by the end of next week. So it will for sure be installed and functioning prior to school starting. And I know we're getting real close to that date.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Thank you
Yep.
to you and your staff on that. And then just wanted to say, I was excited to see that light go up on just in front of Turner Flowers there that, I knew we were unsure if we had a light that we could replace that with. So getting something over that hole has been great. So thank you to you and your staff for that. So. Any other questions, comments for City Manager?
Mr. City Manager, do you have any update from our county partners on our meeting that we're supposed to be having with them?
If you're referring to the joint luncheon, I think we'd landed on, I think late September, early October for that. I have at least spoken with the county administrator about that and spoken with Dr. Cobbs about that. So to be determined, but I think we're working on exploring some topics and identifying a date for that. I would say sometime in late August, early September, we can kind of come back to you with a date. But at this point, I think collectively we've said we're going to get past our budget seasons and regroup on that. So
Thank you. I know we got a lot of important things right now that we certainly need to be discussing with them, and certainly since we haven't had a meeting with them in years, It'd be nice to sit down with them. I've ran into a couple out and about and had conversations with them and they agree. So hopefully, that's moving forward and it happens soon.
Sure, and if anyone, any of the commissioners have a topic per se they'd like to address, again, we kind of stated earlier in the process, this was more of an introductory meeting and breaking the ice amongst the three organizations, but if there's an important topic that we do want to cover or we can get to ahead of time, certainly share that with us via email, and we'll speak with the individual organizations about that ahead of time, so.
Thank you.
And then, my apologies if you talked about this last week. Do we have a time when, after the downtown master plan proposals, when that will come back, or we will make a decision on direction or what the next steps kind of are on that?
So I think depending on how the business falls, I think we're anticipating either, I don't have it in front of me, but the first or the second meeting of August, so.
Okay, so coming soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be coming back before you soon with an opportunity to award a bid.
Thank you. Any other questions for city manager or staff? Thank you. That'll take us to item 13, comments by the governing body. Commissioner Van Lieden,
Yeah, no comments.
Commissioner Allen,
I have no comment.
Commissioner Skidmore,
I have nothing more to add.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley.
I have no comment.
Oh gosh, well dang, nobody else said anything, and I'm going to be the one saying all the things. One, I just wanted to say I saw that over at Legacy Lofts at Second and Walnut, the work is commencing over there. I think that's very exciting. Years ago, we approved that for moderate income housing grant, and, there's a lot of information online about that. And I think it'll be a fantastic property for the community, for people to live downtown, be right across from Legacy Square. I just want to ask City Attorney Finch or anyone in community development who may know, looking at this structure today, we see a home that I would say I feel bad for most of the people who are forced to more than likely live in this because of socioeconomic constraints. Do we have anything in community development in our code that puts some type of onerous on a landlord to maintain a safe, habitable, healthy structure, or a process that if a tenant is in there and it says, hey, where I'm living is not a safe structure, or any program around some kind of focus towards landlords and maintaining?
We'll have Community Development Director Finch come up. In the meantime, I will tell you that we have, several years ago, the commission talked about whether they wanted to get into an inspection regime for rentals. We do have some codes that theoretically could be used for that. The bulk of what gets enforced between landlords and tenants in this state is at state law in the Kansas Residential Landlord Tenant Act. It has certain obligations that it places on landlords to provide a certain quality of housing, and it doesn't get into codes per se, but, sanitary, and has to have running water and wastewater access on it. It's a pretty minimal standard. But some cities do adopt codes and go above and beyond that, and I'll let Vic speak a little bit to his experience and what he's found so far.
Thank you.
So currently I got this on. So currently it's really just a service providing thing and saying, hey, is the city of Ottawa want to provide a service with staff and everything that's associated with that. A lot of the sorts where you get involved with the housing authority. So probably Kansas City, Missouri, you hear about those kind of things and stuff like that. Being from Overland Park, we did not provide a housing authority that kind of dealt with those type of issues. We did have a contractor or licensing for rental properties, but they were really trying to do for outside maintenance and things like that and trying to maintain property taxes. The issue associated with what Mr. Finch alluded to is the fact, sorry, I think I'm talking to myself. So anyway, a lot of those things come into play of if somebody doesn't have heat or water, really the only thing that most building code groups can say, you just can't live here any longer. And we can't force the landlord to actually force the work, but we just remove the tenant from the blighted area, which then you say, where do they live? Kind of that shelter thing. So, the housing authorities get pretty deep, and it's kind
kind of a long, drawn-out process. But and I think that's probably why a lot of cities avoid the topics, to be honest with you, because they are long, drawn-out processes. And when you're asking somebody that's dealing with those types of situations, and the only solution you have is to say, it's unsafe because you don't have water, you have to move out. What sources or resources do you have to put them in? So yeah, depends on what that definition of shelter truly is. So.
Thank you. Is there through, existing code or anything, a process, if a tenant is having issues with the landlord, other than the state, if they come into community development, are they able to request, not being the property owner, an inspection or have something done not being the property owner?
They would not. Actually, and I think Mr. Finch could allude to that, there are state laws that actually the owner of their property can limit the tenant from allowing the city to even gain entry into the property.
Thank you. I just seeing this today, and in my job in life as a real estate agent and contractor, I have been in homes that lack of a better term, I'd say are shocking that people have lived in prior to being in them, and have no desire to force anyone out of their home into homelessness or anything like that. But I do see people in a lot of rentals, a lot of times are likely the most vulnerable probably in our community who are being taken advantage of, sometimes unknowingly, not throwing stones at landlords. Some landlords may not know the condition of our property. And so just if there isn't something, I don't know if the whole, governing body has any desire to look at anything that we may be able to create that would help those people at least have an avenue. If it is, I don't know if there's a housing authority light, or if there's a process that people can report to the city, or what that might look like. I just kind of thinking about some of the places that I have seen that people have lived in, who likely have no recourse, not financial abilities to potentially sue the landlord or follow up with litigation through the state. And, seeing this property today is just one that kind of brought that to the forefront of my mind, that's something, at least if staff would maybe potentially look in time, if, all five of us kind of determine that, to see if there's something that we could do kind of in that process. And I see Chief running up here, so if you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Part of what you described is crisis. And whether that's a home crisis, a financial crisis, or a mental crisis, what we have is our community policing team with our community police officer and the crisis co-responder who proactively work with people who may find themselves in positions in a gap where they don't know what to do and they don't know where to go. And we work directly with the community development department. We have for many years since instituting a unit, whether it's on the homelessness coalition that we have, or working with Hope House, or seniors who may not know where to go to find help. But that community policing team is an advocate for people who may not know where their voice is or where it stands and just need some help. So what you described, obviously, we can't really solve the housing authority side of it, but what we can do is offer help for those people who may find themselves in a position of not having a home to no fault of their own other than where they live. So what we'll do is engage our community policing team on those residents to start working with them to find out, hey, is there something else we can do proactively to help you on what that next phase might look like if this process doesn't work. Fortunately, when the tornado hit the hotel, the reason we didn't have any other injuries or significant loss of life was because of the proactive work of the owner that night. A lot of people did live in those apartments out back in the hotel as their permanent residents. And we did work with those folks if they needed it or needed help to find them alternate housing, alternate locations, connection with family, or what that might look like. And we'll do the same thing in this project if it comes to that as well. So I just want to offer that as a service that we provide, especially on those people who might find themselves in an area where they don't know where to go. And we're the last resort call sometimes that they get in this. There's so many other parts of this puzzle that have to come together for a long time, but we'll be there working with those residents along the way and certainly working with the community development staff to be a resource for them as they need that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the best way to reach out to that, the non-emergency line, the 229-3080. If someone is.
That's 242-1700 is the non-emergency police line. You can call the police department at 242-2561. And you can email us through our multiple email addresses that are found on our website. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Director Finch and City Attorney Finch. Announcements, we have a July 29th study session at 4 PM here at City Hall. On August 5th, we have a city commission meeting at 7 PM here at City Hall. And on August 12th, we have a city commission here at 4 PM in City Hall. We do need it's on the board, we will need 30 minutes. And I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and make the move, the Ottawa City Commission recess and executive session for consultation with our city attorney to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship regarding pending legal matters pursuant to the exception provided in KSA 754319B2 for a time not to exceed 30 minutes. The opening of the meeting will resume here in the commission chambers no later than, let's say, give us a few minutes, get some, 6:23, we give us a few minutes to take a break before we get started. So if that'd be all right. Start at 5:53.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are in executive session. I would stand for a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are out of executive session with nothing to come before us. We are adjourned.